like you said, everyone wants to join the Lakers right now. So I'm confident they'll fill it. And I think that they should be the favorites to win it all right now.
I probably still like the Nets a little bit more.
If they're healthy.
Silly.
That's what it's going to come down. That's the other thing. People keep saying, this Nets-Lakers matchup. What are the odds that if the Lakers and Nets make it to the finals, that Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving are all healthy? I mean, it's like zero, right?
Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by the latest and greatest co-hosts of all time, respectively Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing well.
Oh wait, I think I had that reversed. I should have said greatest and latest, or at least reversed the names. But I was just trying to throw a jab at Theo.
Oh, I see.
He's saying that because I was late to this recording is the joke there, which none of you guys should get unless you were here, but I don't think anyone was.
I guess it doesn't really make that much sense unless people are here to actually see it. But it is what it is. Before we get started, Theo, how are you feeling about NFL Game Pass? Are you as mad about it as I am?
NFL Game Pass has never been a good product ever, and it doesn't surprise me.
It's been the only place to get all 22 film for the NFL.
And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, all 22 film is a camera angle that is very high up in the stadium, so you can see all 22 players on the field at one time, and then an end zone angle that is behind the quarterback, so you can see like offensive line play and like things play out from back there. And if you're going to grind tape, you are going to be able to, you need NFL Game Pass because it's just the better angle to see what's going on. And right now, the NFL has like pulled all 22 for a little bit from Game Pass. And it's a problem because I promised everyone that I would do player reviews if they paid me $5. And then I get this, and then it's like, oh, all 22 is gone for a while. So yeah. I'm pissed about it.
I think it sucks. So I guess I'll just be watching college tape for a while.
Yeah, and it's just
get on that Spencer Rattler grind.
It's just the NFL being the NFL, and Game Pass has always had problems and glitches, and now they're just like
it's never been great, but this is they've managed to get worse over the years, which is bizarre to me. But as always, make sure you like, subscribe, leave comments, reviews. We're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, the works. Keep helping grow this platform. Or keep helping grow this podcast on all platforms. And if you haven't yet, make sure you follow Stay Hot Pod on TikTok and on Twitter. And we just finally got the Instagram set up. It's at StayHotBW for Blue Wire, obviously. We'll be getting some content out to you there. And then before we kind of dive into the big stuff for our episode today, we're actually going to do a quick voicemail question.
Hi, I'm Levi, and I'm from Texas, and I was just wondering, what is your favorite type of like bag of chips, like Doritos, Lay's, whatever?
What's my favorite kind of chip? I don't know if I like Tostitos chips the best, not just raw, but like I'm going with the assumption there's like queso or salsa. But my favorite type of chip is like a Tostitos or a tortilla chip in some form.
I like tortilla chips a lot. Matt knows that for a while I would just eat an entire bag of tortilla chips plain.
Plain, yeah.
Like in one, not like over the course of a week, like in one sitting.
I believe that.
It's horrible.
Like I'm just a weirdo like that.
That's not. You guys can't pretend that's normal. That's terrible.
I mean, I can get down with plain tortilla chips. As I've matured, I've realized that they're better with salsa and like queso or something to dip them in. But I definitely have eaten my fair share of plain tortilla chips. But now I wouldn't do that without
Matt really
salsa.
thought like Theo would back him up on this. And
No, it's like saying maturing, that Twitter meme. Maturing is realizing that you can't just eat plain tortilla chips.
It is. Maturing
You can just eat plain tortilla chips.
You can, but they're better with queso. The queso is really what's good. I don't even better. Like. They are better. You're going to get lit up for that, unfortunately.
You deserve it.
I've never once said anything about food that I haven't gotten lit up for, so I'll take it.
There's a lot about you, man.
Work on it.
I'm a sun chip guy. I like sun chips.
That's a horrible take. I think sun chips.
Not a horrible take.
No. Matt's gonna get praised for this, but sun chips are criminally overrated. I know I said that like saying something's overrated is a lazy take. Sun chips are like not that good.
Sun chips are good.
I don't know. If I had to choose a chip other than tortilla chips, I'd probably go barbecue chips.
I think that's a good take.
Do Cheetos count? Do the jalapeno Cheetos count? Because those are fantastic.
I don't know, but jalapeno potato chips are probably my second.
Any jalapeno chip is great.
Blaiden's going to disagree here because it's too spicy, or he doesn't want salsa.
I don't like jalapeno.
Yeah, there we go.
It's not even like a spice thing. I just think that a lot of things that are spicy just for the sake of being spicy, and they don't actually add anything as far as flavor goes. And I don't think
what they add is the spice.
Yeah, but okay. But if it's spicy just for the sake of being spicy without like, just for the sake of being like hot and like being like an uncomfortable feel, like why would you want that? To me,
that's not jalapeno chips. That's I don't like
how jalapenos taste. That's what I'm saying.
But like they're added because they taste like jalapenos.
We got stuff to get into. We got sports stuff to get
into. We could talk about chips all day long, and I'm gonna get flamed for this later. I know. Like as soon as this podcast drops, like Light and Ryan are gonna be like, "What's wrong with you?" and like your taste buds. And we could talk about this all day, but we have to get into the NFL. There's a lot of news. Thank God, because I was getting sick of the NFL just having nothing going on. Chandler Jones and Xavian Howard both went out.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think there's a situation in which Miami and Arizona just swap, or I've made I've obviously made the pitch for Xavian Howard to go to Cleveland. People don't seem to like that, but I know that Miami has had at least 2 playoff teams reach out.
Yeah. Every team should reach out for Xavian Howard. Every team should. So I'm surprised it's not.
It's a money thing. Teams. I think that's what makes it tough, right?
Yeah.
Because we're really late into the offseason to try to trade a player who's making as much as Howard. And a lot of teams just don't have the money for it and have to significantly change their plans to try to open up money for someone like that. So the Browns have no money next year. It would put them far into the negative. And they already drafted a corner with their first round pick.
And they got Troy Hill. Okay, here's my thing, right? If Xavian Howard wanted to play for a playoff team, which I don't know if he necessarily has a preference, I know he wants his money, right? But if he wants to play for a playoff team, the Browns of all playoff teams have the most money to work with,
but not long term. It's not about
we'll
getting
deal with
paid.
that. We'll deal with that when we deal with it. You know,
but that's not the whole reason why Howard wants to leave Miami is because they're not giving him a bigger.
They're not giving him
deal
guaranteed
right now.
money. They're not giving him like he wanted to work out a deal that was cap friendly. Like in his Instagram post, he said he wanted to work out a deal that was cap friendly that guaranteed him more money.
Yeah, in the future. So saying, well, we'll figure it out later. No, you have to figure it out now. That's the whole point of Howard getting traded is so someone's going to pay him a whole ton of money and guarantee him a whole ton of money.
Listen. When we win the Super Bowl, people are going to take pay cuts, and then Xavian can get as much money as he wants. Like it's okay.
Who's taking a pay cut? Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's going to take a pay cut. He's
First of all, I've already said that Nick Chubb either needs to take a pay cut or the Browns should not re-sign him.
You would take a pay cut if you're Nick Chubb.
I mean, if I'm Nick Chubb, no. Right? but if I wanted,
but he should.
But if I was the Browns, I would want him to.
But if I was the Browns and Nick Chubb didn't take a pay cut, I would not re-sign him. Is my point. So, like in my mind, Nick Chubb either takes less pay or he's gone.
Yeah. I don't know if the Browns necessarily feel the same.
Yeah, I know. You know the Browns have analytics guys in that building. They should feel the same.
Maybe they do. We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, the Cardinals make sense to me because they have a star who is unhappy and would like to be traded. There's a guy who is also unhappy that would like to be traded. I guess that checks out to me. I think Chandler Jones is getting overrated right now by a lot. Like I look at the Madden ratings and he's like a 94, and apparently you can trade him for Xavian Howard. That doesn't check out to me because he is coming off a major injury and didn't do much in 5 games that he was healthy, and he's like 30 something. But I guess the consensus is that that's still okay. So if they can do that, they should do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Chandler Jones is a good.
I think it's hard for teams to trade for him with the money.
Yeah,
it is.
I don't know. I think the Browns make sense. I really do. But apparently, Arizona. Theo, actually, no, you're right. It's not even about Chandler Jones being overrated. It's about like positional value, and like getting a high level. I think getting a high level corner like Howard is significantly harder. Like replacing Howard will be significantly harder than replacing Jones.
I don't know. And some other options that come to Indianapolis always has a bunch of cap room. And with cap, teams always find magic ways to kind of squeeze out what they can. I think every team in the league, the Cowboys is a team that he's been linked to. I think every team in the league, every team should call. And I feel like at this point, I don't really have a list of teams that I think that would fit perfectly. But I think the Cardinals are the team that, their cornerback room also sucks is the thing. Like they need him. They have a guy that they can trade, and then you can throw in some picks. And they have a quarterback on a rookie deal at the moment, and won't have to get paid for a little bit.
A good one at that. A good one.
Yeah. So Cardinals does make the most sense to me, but I'm sure there's other teams that I'm overlooking.
Well, speaking of quarterback rookie deals, Zach Wilson finally signed his. I don't think that was ever really something to be super worried about as to whether or not he would sign. I just think it's funny that they did the exact same thing with Darnold, where like Darnold didn't sign right away, or Darnold ended up being the last rookie to sign. I don't know. Is that like just something to ever be worried about?
I mean, his contract got fully guaranteed. His contract got fully guaranteed, so good for Zach Wilson for, not just signing whatever the first thing they gave him is. He did well for himself there. So, and like Joey Bosa is the guy. Didn't he like not sign until like deep into training camp? Like Zach Wilson was there for like the first days. So no, it's not anything to worry about. And especially now that he's signed, like definitely not anything to worry about.
I think it's weirder that like, why wouldn't you give your rookie a fully guaranteed deal? Especially a rookie quarterback that you took second overall, you're not going to give a fully guaranteed.
I mean, you can be a proven player in the NFL. Guaranteed? I think it was a fully guaranteed deal.
I'm pretty sure, as like rookies are supposed.
I'm pretty sure they have those numbers set.
That's what I'm saying.
I thought it was 35 million, 22 million guaranteed. I could be wrong.
That's what I was thinking. Is like, in what world do you not get a fully guaranteed contract? That would, if anything. If the Jets were trying to structure a contract in the way that it wouldn't be fully guaranteed, that would concern me.
Well, that's never been no one ever gets fully guaranteed deals in the NFL. That's like the whole thing about NFL contracts is they're never. Well, as a rookie, it's even less guaranteed because you're even less than a guarantee. And yes, it is fully guaranteed. And like, that's the reason why I assume he showed up to camp so late is because he was able to negotiate for himself. And it's good to be fully guaranteed. Like I would like all the NFL contracts are so much smoke and mirrors, and it's kind of screwed up. But like, good for him that he negotiated.
I was just under the impression that rookie contracts by nature, or like first round rookie contracts by nature, are usually fully guaranteed.
Nope, that's very rare. And I think it happened one other time before, maybe last year.
I know there's at least another one this year that's fully guaranteed. I'm pretty sure Najee's is fully guaranteed.
Maybe it could be Lawrence. I don't know, but I know the Zach Wilson one is. And
Lawrence is, I'm pretty sure Lawrence's is also fully guaranteed.
So maybe it's trending in that direction, but like, especially for quarterbacks who had the leverage. But I don't think, has Trey Lance signed? That's the other thing. I'm sure they're trying to
Trey Lance did sign.
Oh,
Trey Lance signed the day before.
Okay, that's right. That's right. But Zach Wilson, nothing to be concerned about now that he's gotten in on time. They got the fully guaranteed deal. It's still a cheap deal for them. Yeah. But it is what it is. And I respect Zach Wilson for getting that negotiated right for him. So good for him.
All right. Sticking with the quarterbacks, Taysom Hill has been taking first team reps. Are we surprised? I know Matt's not surprised.
I'm a little, my eyebrows came up a little bit, but I wouldn't say that I'm shocked. No.
Yeah. It's just camp. They'll figure it out in preseason. And there's a lot of stuff you could say about like camp rumors and whatnot and who's looking good and bad and what teams are doing, but we're like one day in.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on there.
It's funny. I saw like that Carson Wentz throw and it was a good throw, but like it was also a blown coverage and I don't know. It's really easy to make like a ton of assumptions after day one of camp.
One throw sample size over here.
Yeah, one throw. Theo changes his name from 16 game sample size to one throw sample size.
That's me with Felipe Franks, honestly. I wonder, has anyone heard from him? Did he have a good day yesterday?
I have not heard anything about Felipe Franks.
I got to search his name on Twitter and see
I don't have notifications on for Felipe Franks reminders.
All right. Okay. I'll have to look it up after this.
And then, okay, there's one more piece of quarterback news. Apparently the Bears are saying that Andy Dalton has been, by far the best quarterback in camp.
I mean, we're one day into camp.
You're one day into camp.
I don't know what to tell you.
Here's my thing, right?
A 13-year vet had a better day of camp than the first day Justin Fields.
Listen. Here's my thought process, right? Let's say that like even if you're like a week into camp, are you gonna sit here and say that, oh, the guy that we already said was gonna be a starter from day one, no matter what, is worse than the rookie we just drafted? Like you're gonna say he's better regardless.
Yeah, of course he's not.
Because you already said he's the starter. Why?
And they're probably not lying. Like Andy Dalton probably knew the playbook better and knew what he was doing. And he was probably maybe more like he's been in the league since like 2012, I think. So like, yeah, I would hope that he had a better day of camp than Justin Fields' literal debut. Yeah. Like
the first time he's ever stepped onto like an NFL practice field.
Yeah. Second, they had rookie mini camps, but like,
I get, yeah.
You know what I mean?
With other veteran NFL players, yeah. Well, okay, Theo, are you ready to give a rant? Do you want to give a rant today?
Always.
The Packers.
But this is good. This is a good rant because they're coming. Rodgers is in training camp. He gave a very enlightening conference, which I appreciated. And it didn't tell me anything that I don't think I knew. He was unhappy with the way Jordy's career ended. He was unhappy with, the GM and how he would let players go kind of unceremoniously. And, he felt that the players deserved more respect on the way out than Green Bay gave them. So he just was very upfront about that. He was very clear about that. I didn't think he lied in his press conference. I still feel the same way that I've always felt, where it's like, yes, they were kind of unceremonious on the way out, but for a lot of these players, they didn't have much left in the tank once they got like released. So on one hand, I get what Rodgers is saying. Like, this is on a human level. These are people and you should treat them with respect and you should treat them, as wanted employees. But on a management standpoint, I don't think any of these moves have just been absolutely like disaster class moves from them. So, I understand both sides of the situation. I'm glad they got things worked out and Rodgers will be back for at least another year. I don't think he'll be back next year, which is what I've been saying the whole time. This is kind of the last dance, the last ride. And I think everyone's kind of aware of that at this point. And I'm just glad we'll get to see it. And I'm glad we'll get a proper send off instead of, a random cryptic like trade away. I'm glad it'll be a proper send off. So I'm happy. With the way things have worked out. I understand why Rodgers is frustrated. I understand why the management did what they did. I'm understanding of the situation now, and I've accepted what the season is going to look like. And it should be a pretty good season because it's the same team that it was last year, essentially.
Well, you know what they say, if you stay the same, you got worse.
That's true.
So you think Cobb's going to look?
I mean, Cobb is going to look like a decent slot guy, I think. Like, he's only 30. Like, Cobb has been in the league forever, it feels like. And he just turned, I guess not just turned 30. But one of the craziest NFL stats to me is that Cobb and Adam Thielen are the exact same age to the day. Like, and no one thinks Adam Thielen is like completely washed yet. Like, Cobb is not that crazy old. So, like, I think he'll be back in Green Bay, and I guess Matt LaFleur is somewhat new to him, but like, I think that he's still got a little bit left in the tank as a slot guy, and he'll talk to Amari Rodgers, our 3rd round rookie, who has a relationship with Cobb. And I think that he'll be a helpful piece. I don't think he's going to be like this crazy good wide receiver or anything, but as long as he isn't like dropping passes like he was a couple of years ago, like as long as his hands are somewhat reliable, I feel like he'll be a guy that sees some playing time.
I've always liked Cobb.
I mean, do not hate Cobb. Like, Cobb is there's a reason why Rodgers wanted him back so bad. Cobb is a great guy.
All right. Well, do you think reasonably, I mean, I think the Packers will probably be a playoff team, right? I think that's fair to assume.
Hopefully.
I'd hope,
imagine
the
doing
reigning
all this.
MVP.
Win 8 games.
I assume they're going to be a playoff team, but do you think they're going to be like a good playoff team, or do you think it's going to be NFC Championship loss? I know you're not the type of guy to predict a Super Bowl from your team. Where do you reasonably think the Packers are going to be?
Well, like you said, if you don't get better, you get worse. But this is what I felt last year. Last year, before the season, I felt that we didn't make any changes. We had the draft with no starters. We lost Balaga in free agency. I'm like, this is not a better team than it was last year. And if you're not getting better, everyone else during the offseason you're going to get it worse. So I was really pessimistic going into last season, but although they stayed the same, they got better. So this year they've stayed the same again. And there is something to be said about having the same team for a long period of time. You look at like the San Antonio Spurs, like that's a team like the core just stayed together for such a long time that eventually you're just going to win one. Like, I don't know, if you have a really good core and you keep it, eventually it's going to work and things are going to break your way. So I think that, again, I don't know if it'll be quite as good as we were last year. Best offense in the league last year. I think the offensive line is significantly worse with Bakhtiari hurt and Corey Linsley gone, and like the right tackle left in free agency, Rick Wagner. So I don't think the offensive line will be quite as good, but I think it'll still be a pretty good team, still be a playoff team, and hopefully things can just break our way this year. But I don't anticipate it being better than last year. So probably an earlier playoff exit. I think that is what I'm expecting, just because the offensive line, we were so healthy last year too, and the offensive line was so good. I don't think that's going to happen again. So I don't think things are going to break our way quite like they did last year.
That's fair. And not to mention, I mean, the Cowboys, if Dak's healthy, are going to be, a force to be reckoned with. The Rams are obviously good. Seattle, Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
there's
the whole NFC West, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that
even in the division, like Minnesota is so much. I don't think we'll sweep Minnesota. I don't think we swept the division last year. We didn't lose a divisional game. I don't think that'll happen again, especially with Minnesota being so much better. I feel like Chicago having a somewhat half decent quarterback situation now. Like, I don't think we'll be as good as we were last year, but I still think we'll be good, and I'm happy we're going to be good. And next year we'll see Jordan Love, which I'm also low-key a little bit excited to see what he can do.
Are you actually excited for that?
Yeah, I am excited. I mean, we'll see how preseason. If he sucks in preseason, maybe I'll be less excited. But right now, I am like, I'm not anticipating great things, but I am a little bit interested to see how he is. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, I guess I have one more question. Do you think Aaron Rodgers is the swaggiest player in the NFL?
No, God, no. He's got such a dad
that he
vibe.
Showed up to camp.
Yes, he's got such like dad vibes at this point to me. Like cool. Like he wore the Office, like Kevin from the Office shirt with the sunglasses. Like there are 100 million more players that have more swag than Aaron Rodgers. Like Aaron Rodgers is like this cool, like, I guess he's not a bachelor anymore, but like he just got married. I don't know. He does not have the most swag in the league. Not even close.
All right, fair
He's
enough.
got maybe the strongest like dad vibes in the league. He might have those right now, but like I don't know about the swag. It's a specific sort of swag. It's not like swag. He's the most something in the league. There's no one else quite like him. I don't know what it is. He's got the most something in the league, but I don't know if it's swag. He has a great quote on swag. Swag is like Zach Wilson said he had like zero drip, and Rodgers was like, "Watch it, young. Swag comes from within," or something. It's a very funny quote.
Swag comes from within. I like that. Well, Matt, you've been quiet for a while. I'm about to let you cook here on the NBA. First things first, blockbuster trade, Russell Westbrook to the Lakers.
Wow.
We talked about it a little bit last night.
Wow.
You said, we got to hit Andy Dalton camp performance before we get to Russell Westbrook getting traded to the Lakers.
Well, I had to hit the big news first, man.
Yeah. I think everybody wants to judge this trade really, really early. And we know like maybe 4 of the players who are going to be on that team. And it really all comes down to that, in my opinion. Because I don't know if you guys saw this LA Times article came out about how Russell Westbrook and LeBron James and Anthony Davis met, and they were having a discussion about what they needed to do and what sacrifices they needed to make in order to win a championship. And one of those things was Anthony Davis playing the 5, LeBron playing the 4, sharing the ball more. If they do those things and they go 80 at the 5 consistently and they go get a ton of shooters in free agency, I think it'll work. I think the spacing will be all right.
That was the concern. Because Russell Westbrook is very much so, like, you can't have Russell Westbrook off ball, like, ever.
Well, I think you can do a little bit of stuff with him off ball. It kind of depends on what they're trying to do. I don't know. We just got to see who else they get, and they have very limited options. They could sign and trade Schroeder away, but the odds of that are probably not amazing. They have a mid-level exception, about $5 million, which is solid, and then they have vet minimums. And that's about it. That's about all their options. So they are banking on players being willing to come and sign for the vet minimum. And there was a report saying that there were a ton of people willing to come. So they obviously know better than me. And it seems like if they made this move, they are confident that they can do that and bring in a bunch of guys. But we're going to have to see here in 3 or 4 days. I like it, though. I think it's fun. End of the day, if you don't like this trade, you don't like basketball. You don't like
NBA basketball.
Or you're a Wizards fan. I mean, Kuzma, like, are they ever going to be good? Like, what is this move for them? Like, you're just so irrelevant next season. Like, what does the Wizards winning that trade look like? Like, what does that even?
Westbrook
what is their
ages
ceiling?
Poorly, and they got off his contract. That's what it looks like. They can also move Kuzma to other teams. They can move KCP to other teams. What? They can move Montrezl Harrell to other teams.
I guess
Kuzma maybe not. I'm not sure what his value actually is, but KCP I think teams will be interested in, and Harrell I think teams will be interested in. Worst case scenario, both those guys are expiring, and you get off a ton of money.
Yeah, I suppose, but I think it'll work in LA. At some point, you just got to take a step back and you see that someone with the talent of Westbrook, LeBron, and AD will make it work. And the Bucks just won the finals, right? Shooting what from 3? Like not that good. Yeah. It was all in the paint. It was all Giannis dominating inside. It was, it was Middleton hitting mid-range shot. Like they just won the finals, not shooting great from 3. It's possible to do. Like you can win the finals without, lighting it up.
They were also putting on a defensive clinic.
They were, but like,
well, the Lakers are fantastic defensively too.
LeBron and Westbrook are all kind of locked down. So like it can happen the blueprint that the Bucks made. I think that like with a lot of paint scoring, a lot of like not a lot of 3-point scoring, like I just had a little bit of stroke there, but like I think Steph Curry kind of like reset what everyone thinks you need to win a title, and like those Warriors teams that were lighting it up, with points. But I mean, you can win a title with what they have, even without the like. Obviously, they need some more shooters, but like you said, everyone wants to join the Lakers right now. So I'm confident they'll fill it, and I think that they should be the favorites to win it all right now.
I probably still like the Nets a little bit more.
If they're healthy. If they're healthy.
Silly.
That's what it's going to come down. That's the other thing. People keep saying, this Nets-Lakers matchup. What are the odds that if the Lakers and Nets make it to the finals, that Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving are all healthy? I mean, it's like zero, right? It's not great odds. So I think the better team will probably just end up being whoever's healthier. But fully healthy right now, since we know a little bit more of the depth, I'm going to take the Nets.
Yeah. Suns repeat, though. It's what it is. That's what, they're going to be healthy.
Lose in the finals?
No, they're going to win this time. No.
I'm sure the one time he has faith in his team, the Phoenix Suns.
I don't have faith.
But
I'm joking.
It seems like one of those fake trades that Lakers fans would talk about on Twitter, and you'd be like, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just bullshitting about some superstar, whatever. But it happened. It's real.
Manifestation.
And, Westbrook that's the other thing. Westbrook has his playoff problems. But if he's the third option, I don't know if you can really force him to settle for bad shots. If he's willing to not take those.
Also, he's never played with LeBron James.
He's never. If they have good spacing, he's never played on a team this talented with good spacing, because a lot of people want to blame the spacing problems in OKC on him, and understandably so. Not a great shooter, but they'd also run out lineups of like him, Kevin Durant, Roberson, Enes Kanter, and Steven Adams. It's like, well, then. Yeah, that's not going to work great. So I think I don't know. I just want to see what shooters they can get. Bullock, if they can bring back Caruso.
Do you think he'll be hitting all these triple doubles again?
Probably not. He's got
what was his usage rate looking like when he was getting those triple? Because it had to be like incredible.
Anytime you have a triple double, your usage rate's got to be a little high. I don't know if he's going to have the ball in his hands enough. Because he was the main playman, the main passer on that Wizards team. And now, I mean, you've got multiple players on this team who have won an assist title recently. So I don't know if he gets the volume.
Yeah. LeBron is going to need that ball. That's pretty much what
they're both going to have to share. Yeah. But I want to say that teams having problems sharing the ball, I don't think is like that common of a problem as people make it out to be. And people said the exact same stuff about the Nets. Anytime you see a big superstar move to a really talented team, you're always going to hear people are always ready to hate before they're ready to actually just call it good. And there are legit problems with it, but until we know,
look at like Team USA, but like that's a pretty extreme case.
Yeah. So
people said the same thing about the Browns. And they still say the same thing about the Browns. It was like, well, how are they going to spread the ball out to all those weapons?
Come on, man.
Don't look at me like that.
Everyone said the Browns had too many good players. No.
Yes. No, they did.
It's a totally different.
Odell and
they were
Jarvis,
like, how are you going to share the ball?
way.
How are you going to share the ball between Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Higgins? You have like 3 good tight ends.
Blaiden, I think those were just fantasy people talking about who they should draft. I don't think that was like, I don't think those were like NFL analysts being like, this isn't going to work. I think that's a fantasy guy who just was like, don't draft
Twitter,
Odell round
just
2.
Twitter, man.
But
it's like Steelers fans on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't want to defer my opinion on this trade, but I kind of have to until you see what type of spacing they get. I will say that the one thing I want to make, or the one point I want to make, is that I think this is probably the best player they could have gotten. You'll see the Chris Paul rumors and the Kyle Lowry rumors and the DeMar DeRozan rumors, but all those either require the player to take a $100 million pay cut, which is completely unreasonable, or complete a sign and trade. And that would make a hard cap for the Lakers. And looking at their numbers, wouldn't have made it possible to field a team almost. So I don't think either of those were really realistic. It's just hard to tell whether the Lakers are confident they can get the spacing in free agency and took a calculated risk on making maybe kind of a tough fit work for the talent, or if they got a little panicky and said, you know what, we'll just do Russell Westbrook, and we'll just hope we'll figure it out later. But that LA Times article really made me confident that it's the first one. It really made me confident it's the first one. So
yeah, if the Stars have been having conversations about exactly what needs to happen for the team to succeed, and they seem like good ideas.
And this was 2 weeks ago. This was 2 weeks ago. So apparently it's been in the works. I'm sure LeBron's far ahead. He's thinking much farther ahead than I am for the Lakers.
I mean, LeBron's a smart basketball mind. He's not going to put together he's not going to trade for someone who he doesn't feel. And I think Westbrook is a smarter dude than he gets credit for too. I feel like a much smarter dude that he gets credit for. The reputation is that he's a ball hog, he'll get rebounds over his bigs. He just wants the triple double all the time. I don't think that's quite deserved. I'm not the world's biggest Russell Westbrook fan. I know that he has some fans. I'm not that. I do think his lack of shooting and his playoff performances has prevented him from being a guy I really hold in the highest regard. But he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. And I do think that this will work out. I do think the Lakers will be a very good team next year. I mean, look at the talent. It's hard to be bad. Yeah.
Hard to argue with talent. But going into the draft, I think it's only fitting that we touch on Golden State. We thought that it might be the best situation for them to trade out of their picks.
Yes.
And they ended up staying. And I think it was them and the Rockets who had the most draft capital to actually use.
Yeah.
There were no trades. So it's just
I'm not a fan of it. I think Kuminga is really, really raw. I'm going to go look at his stats here. So he shot 25% from three in the G League. And that was on 13 games. But he did overall, not even just the 3-point percentage. He did look very raw in the G League. And he's more of a developmental guy. And I just don't love that for a team that has Steph Curry. I like the Moses Moody pick. If you're going to make that pick, him falling to 14 is pretty nice. He's ready day one, good 3-and-D player, really athletic, can defend a lot of positions. So I'm happy about that, but I don't know. They still have the option to move these guys, I'm pretty sure. But I think you go all in, win now. I see some people talking about the Warriors' young core, and I just think having a young core while you have Steph Curry doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I still think the Warriors are going to be a very good team, and they still have options. They can still make moves, but I really would have liked to see them go all in.
Yeah, Clay coming back will be big, but it's can he stay healthy and what kind of player are you getting? But, I mean, this Warriors team missed the playoffs. This Warriors team is not I don't think they're one Clay away. I don't. No. I think that adding a really good stand-up shooter who we haven't seen in years, that'll probably make them a playoff team. But, we were talking about chips earlier. That's what you play for, and I don't think, and like I said, with the same deal, I think with the Packers, you have your old guys and also plan for the future at the same time. It ends up without a ring in either era. And that's kind of the vibe that I get from the Warriors. I don't think Curry wins another one. And then you're stuck with, or you get the young core, but it's young cores, every team has a young core at one point. Yes. Not every team wins a championship. And just because you have a young core doesn't mean that
you'll see this for every single team. You'll see this for every single team today with all the rookies, because every rookie is all positive, right? All 20, first 25 picks. It's all oh my God, he's part of our young core now. He's great. He's going to be great. I'm not blaming anybody for doing that. But right now, every team that was not in the playoffs has a great young core. There's so many great, this is a great young core, and not every young core can be great.
What are some young cores that you think are legitimately great now that the draft has happened? Charlotte, yeah.
I feel
Charlotte does have it.
All right, I'm not gonna go young core to young core, but if your young core does not have somebody who can be the guy, it is not a good young core. If your young core doesn't have someone where you're he's going to be an all-NBA level player, he has the potential to be that good, it's not a good young core. If you're looking at a guy and you're he has the potential to be a very high-value role player, that's cool. You need those type of guys, but at the end of the day, if you're trying to build a team through the draft, you have to have the all-stars. You have to have the guys who make a big difference. And then those role players, you're either going to have to pay big money or they're going to leave in free agency before your team really hits their prime. So it's not even like you can keep absolutely everyone. So I do feel strongly about the Hornets young core. I can't lie. But,
well, you got LaMelo. Yeah. So
you also got 2 steals in the draft.
I mean, if you guys want to let me talk about the Hornets here a little bit.
Go for it.
It is.
This is all you, man.
I understand that like neither of the guys we got are like absolute guarantees to pan out or anything, but we were sitting there at 11 and I was like, man, Book Knight was a guy that was falling. Every draft, there's a guy who's supposed to go real high and he falls. And every time your team will like be picking and you'll see that guy falling, you'll be like, well, maybe we'll take him. Maybe we'll be the team to get the great value and get a steal here. And they never are. They're never the team who takes the big value, gets the big steal. And the Hornets were. And that's the guy I wanted at 11. I said BPA at 11. They took BPA at 11. But Kai Jones was the other guy where I'm like, I love him. His fit with the Hornets would be fantastic. He's probably not BPA at 11, but I really wish we could get him. And then the Hornets trade back up into the draft and get that guy. Like I'm running it on 2K or something. It's insane. I think both those guys fit really well with the people we have now. I think the roster is coming along really well. I think the Mason Plumlee deal is really good too. He's a solid big. He's better than what we had last year. I'm pumped about Charlotte. This is another offseason where they look fantastic.
I'm happy
for you, man. I am.
They'll be able to take the Wizards playoff spot.
That's what I'm hoping.
I mean,
teams above us getting worse.
Able to. I mean, they were what, 1 spot out last year?
We were the 10th seed and we needed to win 2 games. But we could have very easily done better. There's no reason why the Hornets shouldn't be considerably better next year. And now that we've added 2 high potential, high ceiling rookies who I think fit well with LaMelo, and that's what we got to worry about right now is guys fitting well with LaMelo. I not only feel like we can win now, but we also can build for the future. Plus, we have money. We have other free agents we could re-sign, or we have a big mid-level exception at $9 million. So I'm looking forward to this season. I'm pumped.
I'm happy for you, man. The Cavs are also going to be, really good, right?
I don't know if they're going to be really good this year, but they did make a really good pick taking Mobley. You're never going to be like the winner of the draft if you have a high pick and you end up just taking a top prospect. And they're taking the player they're supposed to take, and they don't really do anything crazy, but there's nothing wrong with that. 5 years from now, maybe you're looking at this and you're like, yeah, they won the draft. They were really smart just sitting there and taking Mobley. I was a little worried that they were going to be too committed to Jared Allen and be like, well, because
I remember you were talking.
Yeah, I was a little worried that they were going to be like, well, we've already got a center, so we'll go Suggs or something, even though I think Suggs is going to be great too. But Mobley was BPA there. I don't know what happens to Jared Allen now, unless they're playing Mobley at the 4. But that
I heard some people saying that they could move him to the 4.
Yeah, they could play Mobley at the 4. I think he fits better at the 5, but he's quick enough to be the 4, I guess. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. But yeah, Cavs added very, very, very high talent, very high ceiling.
Cavs going to the playoffs. Love to hear it. So what other teams do you think did a good job drafting?
The Houston Rockets did a good job drafting.
They did do a good job. That's what I was going to say.
I mean, if you have a lot of picks, that's kind of expected, isn't it?
Jalen Green, 2nd overall, very solid. Any of those top 4 guys.
That's Theo's guy.
Are very legit, very high potential. I like all of them. Theo, you talked about Green a little bit a while ago and how much you liked him. So just sitting there and taking that pick we've been known that this was going to be a wildly talented draft for over a year now. So getting a top pick and just taking it, it's going to be a good draft. But outside of that, Sengun at 16, really good value. And then Garuba, a guy I talked about on the last episode or 2 episodes ago.
It was the last episode where you had
as somebody I really, really liked. And I love that for them because They took the best player available on their board without worrying about what they have right now. Fit with Segun and Garuba and Wood might be a little funky, but I think they added as much talent as anybody else and a lot of high upside guys too. And really that's for any of these teams. If you're a young team and you're trying to build good value picks with high upside players, it's always going to look good. And that's exactly what the Rockets did.
Magic got that too with Suggs at 6. Yeah. And Suggs, I think, is going to be such a positive force because of his passing ability. He was the one thing I took away from evaluating guys in the tournament was, I mean, some of the passes he made were just so high level. Same thing. Yeah. And like the Magic, and he's and the other thing is Suggs is probably maybe the biggest name in the draft outside of Cade Cunningham because of that shot that he hit in the playoffs. And like, you know, there's a Jalen Green's a G League guy. I guess he has like 1 million Instagram followers. So he's kind of a big name too. But like when people think of like, I feel like if you just name recognition, Suggs is up there for like one of the more famous rookies in the league right now. And the Magic could probably use a little bit of a big name, you know, like the Magic and the Kings in my mind are like the most irrelevant teams. So like, sorry guys.
Yeah. Darren Fox. How can you be irrelevant when you have Darren Fox?
That's true.
When you're from Sacramento. Yeah. But like
I was telling Matt, I'm going to buy the Kings and he's going to run the team for me. You're going to help run the team, like that, Theo? Man.
But yeah, I don't know if the Magic have a great young core because they don't really have that guy that I view as like a slam dunk future all-star. But like, I don't know. I thought they had a really good draft. I don't know if they'll be contending, but they had a good draft.
Yeah. Toronto taking Barnes at 4 was definitely
strange.
It's not what I would have done. And Barnes has a lot of potential.
Would you consider that a negative? Though, like if you're looking at teams that like underperformed in the draft,
I kind of thought that Suggs was the easy pick there.
Okay.
I thought that the Raptors were in one of those positions where it's like, okay, you're picking at 4 and the top tier is the first 4 guys. So you just take whoever falls to you out of that top tier and you call it a night. And they took Barnes, who is, I'm not going to deny it, great defender. Athletically, he's there. The passing is there. But, you know, the Ben Simmons comps are real. I don't think he shot creates like Ben Simmons did. I know that's going to sound maybe a little goofy, but when Simmons came out of college, he did. He really would create his own shot a little bit, even if it was only from mid-range. And, you know, so he's got a lot of work to do. I just feel more confident in Suggs. They must feel like they can bring the best out of him and they can train him up. And they're going to run some really weird lineups, maybe of like Siakam, Barnes, OG as at the 3, 4, and 5 or whatever. But I think that was a rough pick. Davion Mitchell to the Kings at 9 is.
I thought you liked Mitchell.
I do. At 9, it's a very Sacramento Kings pick, and I very much believe in Davion Mitchell.
They had a good pick last year, didn't they?
It is. They had Halliburton. It was
what
a very
is
good
a Sacramento Kings pick?
A Sacramento Kings pick is taking a guy a little bit higher than where he was supposed to go because he did well in the tournament, and it's a guy who's like a little bit older. That's a Sacramento Kings pick. And I really believe that Davion Mitchell is going to be good. So I don't want to say it's a bad pick, because I genuinely think he's going to come in the league and be fantastic. But I saw a lot of other people. I saw a lot of other people trashing it, and
it sounds like this isn't a problem.
And I'm like, how is this a bad thing? De'Aaron Fox, Xavian Mitchell. It sounds like they're winning the finals. Like,
but a lot of other people see it. If like Davion Mitchell wasn't my guy, kind of. Well, he's not my guy, but if I wasn't a Davion Mitchell believer, I would see this as them reaching on a 6', 22-year-old point guard, because that's a little bit what they did. 9 was about as high as Mitchell would have reasonably gone. But he is my guy. Not going to hate on the pick, but they're definitely trusting in Mitchell's ability, because they're kind of picking against the grain Like logic would tell you not to pick a 22-year-old 6-foot point guard.
I feel like this is a little bit like my Gregory Rousseau pick, where it's like I was a big Gregory Rousseau fan, but everyone else hated on him, and then the Bills took him. So like, I think it was a good pick, but like you're warning people that it might not be a good pick.
That's what I'm saying. It's like on paper, I see the problems with it. It's just that I think he's actually good.
But I think
see how it looks.
I think if you're giving your opinion, though, you got to say that's a good pick because you like it.
It is. I just wanted to bring up how, and then on top of that, the Kings already have 2 guards. They already have 2 young guards as their young core. So it's a little. They kind of have to trade Hield now. Or I mean, what are they going to do, right?
Yeah, someone will take Hield.
Oh, absolutely.
They'll move Hield.
I'm not saying they can't move him.
I guess you have one more guy to talk about, Matt. Tre Mann.
Tre Mann.
He went to the Thunder.
I'm just saying, I feel very justified that my guy went considerably earlier than he was projected. I feel very justified in that. I think with the Thunder, he's a solid fit. I think, they've got guards, but he can get in the rotation, and he has decent capital now. So I feel pretty fine about the Thunder's fit. It's not particularly good or particularly bad.
It's such
he can get minutes. He's not going to start.
It's such a good feeling when a player you scouted and then you're like, oh, this guy's good. This guy's good, like better than people think he is. And then in the draft, it gets reflected in that. I felt that way about Javon Holland, the safety out of Oregon. I watched him. I'm like, that's the best safety in the draft right there. He's better than Ardarius Washington and Trayvon Merrick and like all these guys getting hyped. Like, he's the best one. And then he was the first safety taken. And I'm like, I saw it. I knew it.
It's exactly how I feel with Mann.
Yeah.
I feel the exact opposite with Dax Milne. I was like, this guy's actually pretty good. I felt the
same way. I felt he was also pretty good. Yeah.
I didn't expect him to go in like the first, second, or even maybe the 3rd round, but I was like, 4th round? That's a good receiver in the 4th round. And dude falls to the 7th. I was blown.
I was like on the NFL. But like Dylan Moses was projected to be a 1st round pick early I saw him mocked to the Saints all the time. And then I watched him and I'm like, this dude, at least the way he played, the Bama linebacker, at least the way he played senior year. I mean, he was hurt and he has like multiple excuses for this because he was playing so injured. But I mean, the way he played his senior year, I'm like, if you draft this dude in the 1st round, I mean, this dude doesn't look draftable. And then he didn't get drafted, which is sad and like probably something I shouldn't be celebrating. But like, I was like, yeah, that's something. I don't know what people who are mocking him in the 1st round were looking at.
I remember when you were talking about that.
Yeah, but
it was definitely some questionable stuff there.
Hopefully he like gets back to where he was because there was a reason why. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But it does feel nice when your pre-draft like assessments are agreed upon by the professionals, because then you feel like a little bit of a smart guy. So
I don't know. Sometimes
but we are smart guys. We should feel like
I question the professionals sometimes. I can't lie.
Except when they confirm my priors. When they confirm my priors, they're smart. When they don't, they're dumb.
Right. Exactly. But I think that kind of wraps it up on our end. As far as next episode goes, we're obviously going to be talking about the NBA free agency. There's going to be a lot going on there. We're also thinking about doing predictions for NFL awards. We're going to give our actual predictions for like who's going to win MVP, stuff like that. And then we're also going to give a dark horse prediction as well. Tons of content coming your way, as always, on TikTok, YouTube, podcast channels. Make sure you don't miss out on any of it. And Matt, did you come up with a new nickname?
No, you can't come up with your own nickname, man. And honestly, Matt's my nickname because my name is Matthew. And I'm cool with Matt. And Spawn Hour, calling someone their last name is also kind of a nickname.
Can I call you?
That is not a nickname.
Can I call you by your middle name?
Wait, can I tell a quick story about why I'm in San Diego?
Sure.
Yeah, we didn't even leave. Yeah, Theo's in San Diego.
This is something we should have led with, but I got stranded. I'm in you might recognize or be like, where is Theo right now in this room? This is my friend's room. And I decided one morning, I'm like, I'm going to go to San Diego. And so I got in my car and none of the check engine lights were on or anything. So I was like, I'm just going to go, there's no reason to think that there might be a problem. of course. And then I got here and my car just died at a red light, and I wasn't at my hotel. It was in San Diego, and it died. And I was like, okay, well, I don't have a car, and no one knows that I'm here, really. Like, a couple people did, but my parents didn't. So I had to call them and be like, hey, I'm in California. And they towed it to the shop, and then I don't know. It's just been a crazy last couple of days for me.
You didn't tell your parents.
And I'm imagining your parents getting the call like, hey, I'm in San Diego and my car's not working.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like,
so I'm stuck.
Well, here's the thing. Well, here's what I did. Here's how I broke the news. I was like, I said to my dad, I'm like, I'm thinking about driving somewhere fun, like in a couple days here, because, not much is happening at the apartment complex. Like, a lot of my friends there, left to do their own thing. So I'm like, I'm thinking about driving somewhere fun and doing something. I don't know yet. And he's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And so then I replied to that. I'm like, hey, about this. So he kind of knew that I was going somewhere. I don't know if he expected it to be there, but I was kind of homeless for a little bit, because my Motel 6 night was up, and then I had to put all my stuff in a backpack, and I walked out of my Motel 6 and I'm like, I have nowhere to stay tonight. But luckily my friend Madison, who is a good friend from college, lives in Carlsbad, north of San Diego. So it was she clutched up, and I've been staying here. But that's my story. That's just, I think it's interesting that I think it's very brave and bold of me to be here.
And you went shark fishing, right?
I did. I didn't really catch much. I got one calico bass, is maybe what it was called, but I didn't catch anything crazy. Unfortunate.
All right. Well, here's how I'm going to outro this. From Shark Boy, Benjamin, and Lemon Boy, we'll catch you on the flippity flop.